So, here's a quick summary of Islam. It is the world's second largest religion. It is a monotheistic faith founded in the 7th century in the Common Era in the Arabian Peninsula. So think that more Middle Eastern region, Saudi Arabia, and it centers on the belief in one God, Allah, and the prophethood of Muhammad as the final messenger. Now, the term Islam, at its very core, it means submission. Submission to who? To God, the Almighty, Allah, reflecting its emphasis on obedience to divine will. Now, there are Islamic strongholds across the world, from West Africa to South Africa to South Asia, Malaysia, and across the Middle East, to name but a few. So, historical context of Islam. So it began in 610, the Common Era, when Muhammad, a merchant from Makkah, received revelations from Allah through the angel Jabril or Gabriel. And these revelations later compiled as the Quran. And this forms the most sacred scripture in all of Islam. Now, Muhammad's teachings challenged the polytheistic practices of Mecca. So as you would imagine, those in power, those in higher classes, the wealthy in society, they initially rejected this practice, as Islam emphasized monotheism, social justice, and ethical conduct. Now, by the time of his death being the Prophet Muhammad, in 632, Common Era, Islam had spread throughout the Arabian Peninsula, which is today the Middle East. And as we know from the previous slide, it is the world's second largest religion, and to this day it continues to grow. So, some core beliefs of Islam. Now, the beliefs of Islam are encapsulated in the 6 articles of faith. Let's go through them. Tawheed, which is the oneness of God. So Allah is unique, all-powerful, and incomparable. Allah is the highest. That's Tawheed. Angels, spiritual beings created by Allah who carry out His commands, such as Jabril, so the angel Gabriel, delivering revelations. His is capitalized. That is indicative of Allah's importance. Books of revelation. Divine scriptures that were revealed to prophets, including the Torah, Moses, the Psalms to David, the Gospel to Jesus, and the Quran to Muhammad. Okay, my religious studies students, it's very important that you understand who received, which scriptures were revealed to which prophets. Okay, the prophets, these were the messengers sent by Allah to guide humanity, with Muhammad as the seal of the prophets, okay, to guide humanity to make better ethical decisions, to realize what is important, the importance of faith, and to ultimately lead humanity into a better place. Now, the Day of Judgment, this is the belief in the resurrection and accountability for one's actions in the afterlife. I really like this one, the Day of Judgment. Who you were, who you've been, your conduct will be assessed. Qadar, this is the divine decree. So Allah's knowledge and control over all events, balanced with human free will. I absolutely love that. So there's a bit of a blend here between it. Okay. Allah's control over all events. So in God's hands, the Almighty's hands, the all-powerful, balance with free human will. So ultimately, it is in our own hands what we choose to do in this life. But let us ensure that it is within goodwill. So these are the 6 core beliefs, the 6 articles of faith. So we have the 5 pillars of Islam. Now, the practice of Islam is structured around the 5 pillars, which are acts of worship and commitment. So Shahada, faith. This is the declaration of faith, that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. Shahada, faith. Salah, this is prayer. So Muslims perform 5 daily prayers facing the Kaaba in Mecca. Very, very beautiful structure, absolute work of art to maintain a direct connection with Allah. So facing the Kaaba in the direction of the Kaaba. Zakat, this is charity. So this is obligatory giving to support the less fortunate, usually 2.5% of one's savings or anything that is within your means. Saum, this is fasting, observed during Ramadan, and it involves abstaining from food, drink, and all sinful behavior from dawn to sunset. So it's a dry fast. And then Hajj, which is pilgrimage. This is a once-in-a-lifetime journey to Mecca, obligatory for those who are physically and financially able. Mecca, or Makkah, is in Saudi Arabia. So 2 key sacred texts in Islam. Number 1 being the Quran. This is the central religious text of Islam, believed to be the literal word of Allah as revealed to the Prophet Muhammad. And it covers theology, morality, guidance for personal conduct, as well as some laws and legislation. So in terms of morality and guidance for personal conduct, there is a certain way, a certain ethical way that one must conduct his or herself in a way that aligns with the principles of Islam. Now, the Hadith, this is a collection of sayings and actions and approvals of Muhammad, which provide context and a bit more elaboration for Quranic teachings. Now, Quranic teachings, this would be passages coming from the Quran. So I really like that. Just providing context and more elaboration, just so you can get more insight and you can understand the word a little bit better. So these are the 2 sacred texts. So branches of Islam. Now, Islam is divided into 2 main branches. So Sunni Islam, comprising the majority of Muslims, so the vast majority, and Sunnis will emphasize the traditions of Muhammad, the Sunnah, as recorded by his companions. Shia Muslims, being the second branch, Shiites believe in the leadership of Ali. This is Muhammad's cousin as well as his son-in-law, and his descendants as divinely appointed imams. Imams, these are religious leaders in Islam. Now, guys, these are the main 2 branches, but there are other branches, or smaller sects rather, such as the Sufis, who emphasize mysticism and more spiritual practices, and the Ahmadiyya, who hold beliefs about prophecy. So very interesting here. These are the 2 main religions. They comprise most in the world, but there are smaller branches too. So law and ethics. So Islamic law, or Sharia law, it governs all aspects of a Muslim's life, from personal behavior to social and legal matters. And it's derived from 4 key sources. So the Quran, this is the primary source of guidance. The Hadith, which is like supplementary and elaboration of Quranic teachings. So ijma, which is consensus or agreement among scholars on legal issues relating to more socioeconomics. The qiyas, which is an analogy. This is reasoning by analogy to address new situations. Now, ethical principles in Islam include honesty, compassion, humility, and justice. So these are key ethical principles that are central in Islamic teachings. And we do have a few prohibited actions, haram. This includes theft, murder, usury, and the consumption of alcohol and pork. These are strictly forbidden in Islam. Now, this one, for those of you that haven't heard of it, so usury, this is the practice of lending money at just extremely, ridiculously, exorbitantly high interest rates. So like loan sharks. That is forbidden in Islam. So worship and rituals. So Muslims worship in mosques, with Friday prayers, Jummah, being particularly significant. So across the Arab world, typically Friday midday, most commercial stores or any shops are closed due to religious obligations. Now, rituals like the adhan or azan, this is the call to prayer, as well as ablution, wudu, underscore the importance of purity and mindfulness in worship. Now, some more key concepts in Islam. So ummah, this is the global community of Muslims that are united by faith. Jihad, this is really often misunderstood, and it primarily refers to the internal struggle for self-improvement, first and foremost, and devotion to Allah. But in more specific contexts, it includes the defense of faith. So, defending your faith if you feel as though the situation calls for it. So, as you would imagine, this is extremely misunderstood, and the word isn't particularly liked by the West. Halal and haram, these are guidelines for what is permissible and what is not permissible. So forbidden actions, particularly in diet and behavior. So haram, usury, alcohol, pork, anything along those lines. So the spread and influence of Islam. So Islam rapidly expanded beyond Arabia, reaching Africa, Asia, and Europe, and it contributed to so many advancements in science, medicine, mathematics, and the arts, especially during the Islamic Golden Age, the 8th to the 13th century. So that was when the spread of Islam was quite quick. And today, Islam is practiced by over 1.9 billion people worldwide, and this makes it the second most practiced religion in the world. Now, in terms of modern relevance, Islam continues to play a central role in the lives of its adherents. And it addresses many issues from social justice to environmental stewardship and interfaith dialogue. However, it also faces many challenges in today's world, including a lot of stereotypes. Lots of stereotypes, unfortunately. Political conflicts, not going to get too deep into it, but you kind of know which one I'm referring to here, and debates over modernity and traditional values. Now, in summary, Islam is a comprehensive way of life and emphasizes monotheism, so there is only one God, ethical conduct, and devotion to Allah. And its teachings guide individual and communal living, so coexisting and peacefully. And it offers spiritual fulfillment and a framework for social harmony. So more than anything else, Islam promotes peace.